Hey guys, welcome to the Drum Club podcast powered by Collision Drumsticks, the #1 drumming podcast, guys, giving you an access all areas pass to conversations on topics that range from drumming, mindset, entrepreneurship, the music business, and of course more. Each week, we're going to bring you exciting discussions featuring independent and signed artists, as well as speakers, touring and award-winning musicians, and of course industry experts as well. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with all new videos, announcements, and exclusive Drum Club content. And don't forget to like and comment below your thoughts about our conversation today. This week on the Drum Club podcast, we are joined by touring drummer and friend of Collision, Jack Locke. Based in Essex, UK, Jack is the drummer for the fast-paced punk band Pet Needs. After signing to Extra Mile Recordings, the band successfully released their debut album, Fractured Party Music, in 2021 and have recently completed a successful international tour supporting the one and only Frank Turner. You can find Jack and the band on social media at We Are Pet Needs. With that being said, welcome to the Drum Club podcast. Jack, how are you today?
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here, my friend. I really appreciate you just joining us on this episode. Again, with you coming off the back of a tour, we are in urgent need of just kind of picking your brain, hearing how it went, and of course, diving into all things music. So before we get to all of that, Jack, could you just take us all the way back to kind of the starting point for you? So would you like to just kind of introduce yourself? Who is Jack? And give us a brief bit background into kind of your journey as a drummer.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all started because I wanted to play guitar, actually. Unfortunately, they were quite expensive. And eventually I got my parents to help me sort of buy one when I was like 13, something like that. And every time we got one, we had a problem with it. Either it was chipped or broken or something like that. So we were like, oh man, I really enjoy playing Guitar Hero. And that was why I started doing it. And then I continued playing Guitar Hero, but realized they had a drum kit as well. So we started with that. Obviously, it wasn't so loud. So my parents were like, yeah, we'll put up with the tapping every now and then, the thumping from the bedroom upstairs. It's fine. And then it was Lars Ulrich, actually, from in the game in Guitar Hero Metallica that really got me enjoying drumming and just sort of hitting these pads really hard and stuff like that. And then eventually my parents went, all right, fine, he's a drummer, let's get him an electric kit. And then eventually I managed to just grab one or two things occasionally that was actual drums. And then we finally got my own drum kit, a cheap one. I think it was from a brand called Millennium that I think is only on like Thomann or something like that. It's their own brand, I think. Like £300, and that's how it all started for me in actual drumming, not just Guitar Hero drumming.
I love it. So a healthy combination of Guitar Hero, Lars Ulrich, all things Metallica, and then sprinkling.
Yeah, well, I'm massively into gaming. As you can see, I've got quite a streaming setup. So yeah, I love gaming, and that's how I got into it.
That's fab. What an intro and what a way to kickstart the podcast, Jack. I think, for a lot of drummers, the more that I speak to, especially kind of artists who kind of grew up through kind of gaming, kind of that era, it's quite a lot of kind of artist stories kind of start with either if it's Rocksmith or kind of that Guitar Hero starting point, that origin story, or, for me, I think before I had Guitar Hero, I had SingStar. So when I realized I wasn't much of a singer, I turned quickly like yourself to Guitar Hero and drums. But no, fabulous stuff. Maybe one day we can have a chance to get behind the kit and we can bring the band back together and we can do a bit of Guitar Hero. I would love it.
Well, the great thing about Guitar Hero is you can play any instrument that you want. I had to go at all of them, and it just turned out that drumming was the one for me. I mean, unfortunately, it's the noisiest and most expensive, but it happens. It's fine.
What I was going to say before we move on, kind of qualities or what kind of lessons did kind of learning through kind of the drum kit on Guitar Hero or kind of that Rock Band teach you in terms of kind of pulling it away to the E-kit when you transitioned into kind of getting your first kit? What were some of those kind of takeaways?
The most important thing for me was having fun, and the fact that they gave you an option to actually purchase songs that weren't on there necessarily, that you could do. Like, I think some people, fans of the games even made versions of it that was then able to be made into the game. And the fact that you could like purchase your own songs that weren't necessarily on the actual game, I think that's what made me really enjoy it. And then you just start getting more and more into it. It's like, I want to do this properly. And it just builds from there. Like, if you can't do the songs that you love and you listen to, I feel like you don't get the full amount of enjoyment out of it that you probably would
I hear you. Yeah, for
otherwise.
sure. When you kind of from there, kind of that starting point of obviously, performing and getting into kind of the grips and the understanding of the instrument, can you walk us through kind of music education? Was that something that you pursued throughout school? Were you kind of actively involved in like, in school activities there? Was it extracurricular? Was it none at all? And you were kind of self-taught like myself, or what was
Yeah,
kind of the route in
well,
for
that's
you?
it. I'm laughing because yeah, I really disliked music in school. I didn't enjoy being told what to learn and what to do. And the thing about music is that it's like self-expression, and it's your way of getting out your own experiences and what you want to do yourself. And you can be so creative. And I felt like in school, because we did it at a time where I was a teenager, your natural instinct is to go, I'm not doing that, And I think that helped me in a way because it meant that I did it for the love of it. Of course, now professionally doing it, I'm now going, I wish I listened a bit more because now I have a lot to catch up on professionally. But I feel like that's the reason why I'm here doing it, is because I just didn't enjoy it. And I felt like I need to get whatever's inside out
Yeah.
rather than you going, please just do this. It's just that you lose the creativity, I feel. And I don't know if that's the right answer, but yeah, that's me. I just love bringing out my own personality in it.
What is it that you feel you missed out on?
I mean, as a drummer, you don't necessarily, I mean, to be honest, there's a few instruments that you don't need this, but theory wise, is the major thing, and discipline. And I think practice techniques as well, which I'm now in the last year, obviously doing it professionally. I've been, definitely researching into practice techniques as much as, just going out and having fun. It's like, well, no, I need to make sure now I'm the best I can be at all times.
Yeah. So when it comes to kind of resources that you look to, what are some of those kind of points of contact or points of references? Is it individuals? Is it kind of is it education online? Is it offline? Is it kind of combination of the two that you seek out just to kind of aid yourself? Just for the artists at home, kind of who might share that similar kind of starting point to us, who
Yeah.
might either still be on that journey and still kind of sticking it to the man and think, I'm going to be self-taught, or maybe there was drummers that might have had that bit of revelation where they're like, actually now comes the point where I need to start kind of getting my teeth in and my beak wet with different kind of resources and tapping into that. Jack, where would they be best to go, and obviously where do you go?
Well, I go, obviously throughout the last year, I've met a lot of people. And so now I go to a lot of people. I've like made friends with a lot of people, and that's definitely a good way of doing it. But obviously before that, it's difficult to have professional relationships if you're not professional or have the chance to meet these people. So I would chat to them and go, oh, okay. And I'm not afraid to do it. I feel like it's a good thing, especially as a beginner professional kind of thing. It's good to definitely talk to those who have the experience and have done it all before. But before that, and still now, I focus on my favorite bands, my favorite drummers. And even further than that, it's like watching videos on Drumeo and stuff like that, where you see drummers that you're like, oh, I've never heard of them before. And you watch the, because they always make it interesting. And it's like, try this thing out. And I'm like a sponge at the moment. I will take anything that, comes at me, or anything that I can take and do that. But yeah, definitely everything's, I mean, I'm not had a drum lesson officially, but I'm very much self-taught. I've recently purchased a few books and things like that, and I do it on my own terms. Again, I feel like I do personally switch off quite a lot when someone's telling me things that I haven't asked. It's just the way my brain works. So I need to actively go, no, I want this. And I seek it out. YouTube videos are great. Like Drumeo is fantastic. And even going through like the Collision groups on Facebook and just watching the videos and seeing, and even like going, oh, okay, I want to see what band these guys are in and stuff like that. I've definitely seek it out, but online for me is the way forward. And then when you go out into the world of doing shows, just chat to everyone, even like grassroots level, chat to the drummers and go, I really like that you did that. And how do you practice? And people like talking about it because no one tends to focus on the drummer except drummers. So I think use that opportunity.
No, I definitely echo it. And I think you're right on it when it comes to kind of communicating with the like-minded musicians. I think drummers are the best place to start and point of contact, getting out there and kind of getting into that kind of field and networking. And I know you said kind of more recently you're taking that a lot more seriously. How early was that kind of a realized kind of activity where you felt like, you know what, I need to start kind of getting out there and putting myself out there, even if maybe it's not the easiest thing to do. I know I'm a creature of habit. I sit behind the drums for a reason. It's kind of not, it's something that I maybe have to kind of have worked at, over a period of time. But for yourself, Jack, was that something that came easy to you, or again, kind of was it a realized activity later on?
It was kind of late. I don't know. It's when I video myself drumming a lot. Not for an ego boost. It's mainly to go, why did you mess that bit up? And then I look again and I go, okay, that's why I did it. Let's not do it again. And I feel like it's really important to video yourself, even especially at live shows, because you can video yourself practicing all the time, but there's no pressure. There's no live audience. There's no energy being transferred. You're just there enjoying it. And you have the opportunity to go, I messed that up. I'll do it again. You can't do that live. So it's very different. So if I look back at myself and go, yeah, I messed that up. Why did I do that? And actually, one of the first shows we did it would be, in fact, it's before we officially became professional, before I left my day job. I videoed it and I remember looking back going, is this video sped up? And it was like, wow, I played those songs so quickly and rushed them. And why? Because I wasn't used to having a room full of 800 people in front of me. It was like the adrenaline just goes, oh, I'm going to play these songs. It wasn't until I watched it back and went, oh, okay. Because I had no idea I did it until I looked back. So there's that. That's what first made me go, okay, I'm in the bigger leagues now. I need to make sure that I'm not. I mean, everyone enters it at the bottom. It's like you go through divisions and stuff. And I was quite happy before we were professional, going, okay, oh, that drummer did that thing. Can I do that? Yeah, I think I can. That's fine. Yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm not falling behind. And then when you go up, it's like you're at the bottom of this Premier League, and it's like, right, okay, touring with these amazing drummers. You look at it and you go, I'm such a baby now. Like that, I didn't feel like I was, and that gap has made me go, I want to be like these people. And I don't feel as comfortable in my own ability as I did because I'm now in the Premier League. So yeah, that's the main reason for me is now that I'm in it, like I didn't even think about doing what I'm doing now. All of these, like, sit with a practice pad, or even not even that, just get a pillow, because you don't get the rebound on the pillow that you do on a practice. And little things like that. I never thought of doing until I realized that I need to improve if I want to continue doing this as a career.
100%. These forced actions that, again, that separates, that kind of part-time, musician, artist, and that full-time kind of mindset, and again, these kind of forced actions that you kind of find in yourself to take on, whether you've liked it or not, kind of, you've felt that kind of depth of, kind of just getting into the bigger leagues as you guys are. And over time, the drummers watching at home, you'll be walking through this journey yourselves. There comes a point where you're actually like, wow, I mean, I feel like I'm into that kind of next, like you said, I've never heard someone describe it like, a football league before, but it is entirely like that, right? A lot of similar qualities there. You got your pros, you got all the endorsements, you got all those different kind of big, the big money coming in. So, I think it's a great comparable. But yeah, I definitely agree. Kind of seeking it out through different channels, Jack. Huge. I'm pleased we segued that way, because I think it was a great conversation, definitely necessary for obviously the drummers kind of watching at home who, again, want to kind of learn and hear from the ear of an artist like yourself who is a full-time drummer. And I want to get into that in a moment. But you talked about inspirations and influences. You mentioned a couple of names already, but who right now is a big influence in your drumming and kind of helping you kind of close that gap that you talked about earlier on?
Well, yeah, like I said, I started off, I mean, Lars Ulrich's the reason I started drumming. So, I mean, thank you so much to him. But as I moved on, I found all these, oh my God, you can do that with the drums. So it's like, I'm in a punk band, but I really enjoy sort of progressive music because I feel like the possibilities are almost endless with it. There aren't any rules. But when we were on tour in America with Frank Turner, supporting him, oh God, we're out there for 8 weeks. That was a long one. It was great. But there was a guy who actually I'd never heard of, because I'm not really from the punk scene. I never really I'm still sort of growing into it. And there was a guy standing in for the main support band, who were the Bronx, and a guy called Atom Willard, who I'd never heard of. And he walked in to introduce himself. And 2 of our band members were just like, oh, like, that's Atom Willard. And I'm like, cool. like, yeah, he said he's drumming for the Bronx. And they're like, you don't realize he's like our favorite drummer. We see him as the best drummer in the world. I was like, okay, all right. So I went out that show during soundcheck and watched him. And I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. And then every night I was there watching him. And actually, the one thing that really kickstarted me sort of, I don't know, wanting to take everything on that he does is one time Frank's drummer was sick. It was like a sudden thing, and we were in like Seattle, I think, and it was like, oh man, like they're gonna have to do the whole hour and 45 acoustically. But then we heard that Frank had gone to Atom and went, can you learn these songs? And Atom was there for about an hour and a half, walking around backstage with his headphones on, making notes. Like he'd not heard these songs before. And he went on straight away, and he was taking cues from their keyboard player, Matt Nazir. And it was just amazing watching from side of stage. And he got the cues, like he was reading off of his notes, but like he had 90 minutes to learn. I think it wasn't the whole show. It was like half an hour's worth of music in front of this like theater. And it was just, I want to be like that. I want to be the one that a professional musician would go to, and go like, Jack, can you do this? Like we need you, like your help. And I want to be the one that can just go, yeah, let's do it. And just, he didn't miss a cue. And it was just crazy just watching him on someone else's kit, never heard the songs before, like 90 minutes before. And that's what really motivated me to go, you know what? I want to be like that. I want to be as professional as this guy is.
That's amazing. And to kind of think after meeting, seeing kind of firsthand that play out and go down, it's like, right, I want to just throw out everything I've kind of learned so far and just kind of rewrite the rule book. And how has that influenced the plan going forward for you, Jack, when it comes to kind of, focusing on certain disciplines now? You're saying you spend a lot more time with the practice pad. Are you starting to kind of put yourself out there more, and kind of, are you listening to music and trying to kind of score it down and write it out, and kind of write kind of similar notes and kind of play around with that? You were saying punk's maybe not something that initially was something that you would take to, but now obviously being in a punk band, it kind of comes with the territory. Is that happening in this genre exclusively for you, or are you trying to force yourself to learn and kind of throw yourself into kind of new genres as well to kind of push your drumming forward?
Yeah, well, I mean, prog and punk could not be more polar opposite, I assume. I think they've been arch enemies since like the 60s, 70s and stuff like that, But the fact that the guys that I'm with in Pet Needs, they've been fantastic with me in terms of, they know that I'm from a more progressive, more metal background. And so I think we're all from different backgrounds, but the three of them, aside from me, have got like, they're very much into, like, they talk about music all the time, these bands. Some of these bands I've not heard of. So it gives me the chance to really listen out for them. But they really allow me to bring my own influences and taste into it as well. Obviously, I don't go overboard. You got to, you have to serve the song and everything like that. But they've been great. And it's really good to, I've noticed as well, and other people have said to me that, like, there's like a 30-second instrumental part in a punk song. And it's like, yep, there is, they're warming to it as well. And it's great. And I think that's why we stand out and we've done so well. But definitely, in fact, the note taking, when I looked at Atom's notes, it was very similar to how I would naturally do it. So I was already like, oh, good. I'm like already in that sort of mindset. To actually do it is a different thing. If I'd have gone up on that stage making notes, I'd have been like, oh, which song is it? The fact that he's got that professionalism to be able to do that is incredible. But I'm also, my dad writes music as well, and I'm in another like band on the side called The Round Window, and it's a more, I don't know, like laid back, rocky, progressive vibes in it. And I've just recorded the second album the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, and I had to write notes because I was listening to these songs coming through. They weren't even finished, but I was going, send me the song so I could listen to them. And I had 3 weeks. I mean, I had the songs in my head, but I had 3 weeks to actually practice these drums. And that was I had to write notes, and it definitely, seeing Atom's notes helped me and made me confident enough to go, you know what, you can do it. If he could do it in 90 minutes, then I can do it in 3 weeks. And then we can maybe shorten the time from there if need be. But yeah, it really works to just go, yeah, like be professional. This is your job now. Come on, write these notes, get it right. And it was yeah, I mean, it was stressful trying to remember all these parts. My brain was getting warmer and warmer as the day went on. My body was cold because it was quite cold in there, but I was just, but it went really well. And I feel like, yeah, because I saw Atom do that, I feel like that's what spurred me on to go, no, I can do this. Like, I want to do this.
It's really interesting that you touch upon this, because I think that's where kind of my mindset was going as well when you were sharing, is the idea of, well, if you've seen it play out in reality before, it kind of gives us as drummers that kind of confidence and that kind of validation and that kind of confirmation that, well, actually it is doable.
Can be done.
Because I think a lot of drummers kind of count themselves out just on the basis that they haven't seen it done before, and we're kind of trying to pave our own way, which is, I think it's been great to hear from yourself, and I think it's really nice. And I think a lot of drummers are kind of, again, that's why we do these types of conversations and this podcast in the first place, is for drummers to listen to drummers like you, Jack, and then to take that and then to run with it as well, and then to apply it to kind of what they're doing with their own music. Because there'll be a lot of drummers at home, like kind of in that boat right now that you were once in, now you are no longer in, right?
I'm quite lucky in that now I do this professionally. We came back from our last tour 3 weeks ago. Like I say, I had 3 weeks to do it. So I do have the time. The time is always the most difficult thing, but I think if you definitely put your mind to it. I mean, at the moment, we're at a very beginner stage for professionalism. So I guess we have to, when we've got 6 weeks off before the next tour, we don't have the money just to go, well, sit back and relax. It's like, no, so I do have to work still, but time is definitely on my side. So it's definitely about making the time for it. And I feel like if you really want to, then you'll make it. You'll make the time for it. It's definitely important.
This is something I want to dive into. I mean, in terms of being, a full-time musician, I know you say on the side as well, kind of off tour, you pick up a bit of work here or there. When did you realize that that was actually a reality that is worth pursuing for you? Was it when you first joined Pet Needs? Could you kind of speak to kind of how the band came about? Has it always been a goal of yours to go full-time and pro, and you felt it was going to happen sooner or later? Speak to that.
Well, it was always the plan. I mean, my initial plan when I was a teenager is to be a professional footballer, but that didn't come, that didn't work out. And obviously I'm 29 now, so I'd be looking at towards the end of my career. Whereas in music, this is the beginning, and it doesn't matter what age you are in music, because you can, as long as you're creative and you want it, you can just do it up until, I mean, there's so many artists out there that 70s and stuff like that. They're still touring like the world is, I mean, they've done it all their lives, but still the toll on the body and everything. So there's no age, for that at all. In terms of Pet Needs, I was actually trying to put together a sort of a progressive metal band at the time. And that was my second band. The first one was a blues band that didn't end too well. Just a big argument with the singer. He wasn't taking it. He thought he was a professional. He thought he was a rock star. And we just, we were like, how old was I? Like 16, 17. And he, and we weren't, obviously. I mean, it's a Frank Turner lyric, but there's no such thing as rock stars. It's just people that play music, and I really like that. But yeah, so from there, I went, well, this isn't really going anywhere, because you got to have like 4 or 5 people that are on the same wavelength as you, have the same schedules, and it's so difficult to do that. So I put I put an advert out on join my band. I don't even know that's still, I'm assuming it's still going, but I haven't needed to go back to it. But I put an advert out for that, and I got contacted by the very, very early stage of Pet Needs. And yeah, we just spoke after that. And I was originally looking just as a session musician to go, well, I want to still do progressive music, but maybe I can earn some money through drumming on the side and get get experience. Anyway, they misread the whole thing and went, yeah, do you want to join the band? And I was like, okay, let's do it. Like, I went for an audition. Yeah, let's do it. It was a lot of fun. And we were together for like 5 years. Then the pandemic hit. And the whole time we were going, yeah, like we could do this professionally. We could. But now looking back, we were just so like naive with it. We were just sort of like, well, we don't know what it takes to do it. And we were nowhere near ready for being professional at all. And then the pandemic hit, and Johnny and George, who are the two, like Johnny's the front man, George the lead guitarist. They're both brothers, and they got together they went for like a walk. It was the time where they were like you can go outside but meet one person, or stuff like that. And they went, should we just do an album? Like, we're talking about like what's next for the band. like especially because we had gigs cancelled and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they just went, yeah, let's do it. We had a load of songs together and already, and they said, yeah, but we need like maybe 3-4 more songs, something like that. And anyway, they got together. They're the main songwriters. They got together, brought the stuff back to myself and Rich, our bass player. And yeah, we're like, yeah, let's do this. And anyway, just sort of towards the end of the pandemic, like the big 2020, we wrote the album, recorded it, and then Frank Turner messaged us because we'd met him once before playing Camden Rocks Festival. I think it was 2019, and he came and saw us, and he was like, "Oh yeah, these guys are great." He tweeted about us. He wore our T-shirt during his encore, which was amazing.
Talk about it. That's huge.
Yeah,
huge.
and I mean, luck would have it, he decided to move down to Essex, and he was like, "I don't know anyone here. Do you guys want to meet up?" And then eventually we did, and he said, "Right, well, can I like just have a little bit of fun mixing like one of your songs?" And we're like, "Yeah, go for it." He goes, "I'm trying it out while he can't tour." He wanted to do that, so we built a whole recording studio in his back garden. And yeah, we listened to he did one song, we listened to it, and we're like, "This is great." Plus it's Frank Turner. You know, so we were just like, yeah, because we were worried. What if it's not good? What if it's rubbish? And we have to tell Frank Turner, nah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in the room. I wouldn't want to be in the garden studio when that went down for sure. But
yeah,
thank God,
so we were like, oh
it
God.
came
Yeah.
fruition.
So that was it. And he loved our energy. And he took us on an acoustic tour called The Gathering right at the beginning when, you know, you're allowed outdoor performances. And he loved it, even acoustically, he loved our energy and stuff. And he just said, right, yeah. And he joked, he went, right, I'm going to take you on a UK tour. And we're like, oh my God, that's amazing. A month later, I'm thinking about doing this thing that only like one other band's done where we go around the US, but we do 50 states in 50 days. And we just laughed it off. And we're like, yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? Come on. Like, it's just a dream. He'll just, yeah, he won't want to. And then out come the announcement, 50 states in 50 days. And he came to us and went, do you want to support? And we're like, what? And yeah, the UK tour got postponed until autumn. That's the one we just finished. It was due in January and February this year, but because COVID cases were rising, he just thought the safest thing to do was just to, you know what, let's be sensible, let's postpone it. Yeah, and so I quit my job at the end of March, did a European tour for 3.5 weeks with him, and then the US tour for 8 weeks, which was amazing but tough. I mean, we only did the way he was able to do it was he did a few acoustic afternoon shows, which meant that he was allowed to have like 1 or 2 days off every couple of weeks, which is needed. And we only did like 30. We did every single electric show that he did, which was 34. But we realized that we traveled through 46 states, and there's a small percentage of Americans that have been to that many. So for our first time there, it was an amazing thing.
That's pretty.
And then we realized how great the UK is for touring. It's like the longest was like 3-hour drive, and it was like double that every day in America.
So just to clarify, when it came to the band, the first tour that you had personally been on was an EU tour, following a US tour, and then bringing it home and having the UK tour. This time last year, we were going, oh my God, we're booked in to do a UK tour that we've never done. And now we've been on tour more than we've been at home this year, which is amazing. And it's just something you just didn't think you were going to be able to do. Talk about riding the arc of opportunity and just kind of a combination of right place, right time, the right sound, because that's what took his influence. And you know, again, it was the whole reason for the conversation in the first place to almost, you know, be one of your biggest Raven fans, right? Kind of wearing your merch and mixing your own records. I mean, talk about that as a kind of feeling for you when the tour call came. Do you remember where you were? Do you remember kind of what that feeling was like when it first got broached, the subject to you and the band?
Yeah, well, actually, we were in recording our second album with Frank. So he recorded and mixed our second album that was released in September this year. And at that time is when he just leant back on his chair and we went, how do you fancy coming on a UK tour with me? And we were just trying to keep it as cool as possible, but we like look at each each other, like about to cry, like, what? Like, you're just doing our album. Yes, take us on tour. So that was the first time. I mean, we also had a bit of heartbreak. I think it was in December. I remember distinctly where I was when I got the phone call from Johnny, the front man, who just spoke to the label, our manager at the label, and said, yeah, Frank's put in the tour. He's going to push it back until November. And I remember that was a horrible feeling. So it was mixed, but they were months apart. So it didn't affect the excitement at the time. It was just that thing of just leaning back on his chair and just going, what do you guys fancy? And it was just like,
so laissez-faire, just so relaxed, cool, calm,
yeah,
collected.
like,
Yeah.
what? Don't do this to us. You better not be joking, you know?
That is insanity. Well, congratulations again, from myself
Thank
and
you.
the whole team, and I know everyone watching will just be, in awe of that, Jack. And it's kind of every drummer's dream to be put into and to create that opportunity. And you definitely, paved the
Yeah.
way. I talk a lot, as you know, about the work that is done off the stage that helps provide, obviously, the realities on the stage. I mean, how do you feel that as a concept, for kind of what's played out over the last few months and this past year for you in terms of all of that work that you guys were putting in behind the scenes, every session, every practice, every rehearsal, it was going with an intention, but it went ultimately to a point where maybe you didn't even realize it was going to get to within such a short time, span and frame. Do you agree to kind of that principle again of kind of what it is you do off the stage is what you're taking to the stage, kind of what's your view around that and kind of attitude towards that?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things like on when you do like a tour, it's like you need to reflect on what you've done. So there's definitely stuff you can do on tour, but everything is done off tour. Like you can't go, oh, we'll do this song. If you haven't got a song ready, it's a very bold. I mean, there's Frank will do that all the time. Will change his set and go, should we do this song tonight? And they have a band are like, yeah, let's do it. But why can they do that? Because of all the preparation and everything they've done beforehand. So you've got like your set. We were given basically half an hour to just have the most amount of fun as we could. And it ended up with just 7 songs, but we had like 8, 9, 10 ready just in case a song didn't land that well, or it didn't. We just went, oh, we're not feeling it now. So everything is done beforehand. Like, yeah, just the preparations of it, the amount of messaging that we do. Should we do this song? What about this set? What about this set? What about this set? And it's like, okay, everyone, make sure you're ready for practice. It's just, yeah, it's things like that, just constant communication, and it is all the time. Like, there's not a day that goes by when I miss out on like 20 messages because I've just put my phone down for like a coffee, and it is constant. And off tour, it's almost like you can relax more on tour because you're doing it, you're there. And off tour, it's like, well, no, preparation. It's a lot, but it needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking on that, I guess it comes down to the fact that when you're in the kind of regime and regiment of a tour, it's like the hard work's kind of got to be done before that, anyways, because that that is when you take to the stage. That's the curtain call. That is like, whether you're ready or not, the show, the show's happening Friday. You've got to be ready Friday.
Yeah. You're on at 5 to 8 on Friday. There you go. That, and now it's like, well, that's not changing. We need to make sure we're ready. I will say though, which I always thought was quite funny, is the hard musical work is done off tour, but the heavy lifting is definitely done on tour. Especially as a support band, where even as headliners, we're going on a headline tour soon, but we know we're going to have to put everything up these tiny little stairs, lift everything out the van, drive the van. We know there's a lot of stuff to do. And even things for tour that isn't musical, you have to plan ahead. Like Johnny, our frontman, he'll book all the hotels. You don't really think about, okay, that needs to be done. Stuff like that. There's loads of things that needs to be done specifically for a tour. But even like you say, one-off shows, if you were told, Friday at 5 to 8, you're on this stage at this time, it's like, okay, everything, how do we get there at this time? How are we going to be able to prepare? What can we play? How is it going to be the best performance we can do? So yeah, all of the hard work is really done before the tour, and then the heavy lifting is done during the tour.
I think these are all really important factors that need to go into consideration when artists even begin considering, whether it is time to start putting together preparations around a tour. Again, having the the material to tour off the back of and to kind of run, put out to the venues is just one thing. But, like you were saying, the logistics, the resources, the team, the effort, the equity that everyone is about to just dump into the band pot per se. It's not always money, it's effort, and like you say, to be in a position where you've got, a team of like-minded musicians, that is a real rarity, and you don't know how long that half-life has. It could be a 2-year thing, and that's that, and a band member or two get fed up, or it's going to run on for many years to come. I think it's fabulous, and I tell you what, you've came a huge way from Guitar Hero days, mate. That is fabulous.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't have time to look back at that. That's everything's happened so quickly. It's going, oh my God, if I could tell that guy who is just sitting there with his little half-length hair, just tapping away, like poorly, not even in time, not holding the sticks right. It didn't matter.
Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be here doing this interview at that time. You love it. What?
And he'll be taking Guitar Hero on the road, and he'll be requesting it as part of his rider and such. No, that's really great stuff. I was going to ask Jack, when it came to favorite moments or most memorable moment on the tour, or kind of EU and North America tour, kind of what has been some of the highlights for you? Kind of, was it playing at a certain venue? Was it that you would always kind of aspire to play at? Was it kind of bumping into maybe a particular musician kind of that you hadn't realized that was either at the venue or on the bill, or anything in between?
Well, I suppose there's 3 major things, and they're all quite different. The first one is playing at a venue, and now I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. I know it sounds stupid what it is, but 013. And now I say that, I don't know if it's 013 or 013, let's call it. That's in Tilburg. And the reason why it was so special, and I knew it even before we arrived, I knew it was going to be special, was because in fact, one of my favorite artists released a live album from there. And that album, it was in its entirety. And that album changed so much for me in my personal life at the time when it came out. I wasn't necessarily in a great place and a great relationship and stuff like that. And just that album just made me, I don't know, it changed my mindset on so many things. And to have played on the same venue, on the same stage as that band, I remember coming off stage going, I don't know what to say, like shaking. My bass player even went, I've never seen you like this. Like, it's amazing. I was just ecstatic, like, I played on the same stage. This was it. Even thinking now, I can feel like I'm getting goosebumps from it. So that's the first thing, is playing that venue in Tilburg, 013. It was incredible. And not only that, but behind the scenes, the people that worked there were incredible. They had a chef that just said, look, just come to us, anything that you want, we'll be able to make it for you. Just things like that. It was an amazing place to be. The second thing is the fact that I've always dreamt of going to America. And that was, and even though like I've like leaving my partner at home for 8 weeks, I get homesick quite easy. You don't realize until you're on tour really how difficult it can be for being away from home, especially that far and for that long. But what kept me going, and I remember this, was just the fact that, oh my God, I'm going to America. I'm going to the US. I'm going to this place that I've always wanted to go. And I remember when we arrived going, oh my God, you're American. You're American. You're American. Just going, this is so cool. Yeah. And that was the second thing. Just the fact that I never thought I'd even go there on holiday. I'd be like, it's too expensive. But to go there for work was just, and to go round, like we said, drove through 46 states, played a show in 34. That was incredible. And the third thing is, like I mentioned before, Atom Willard. That was such a chance meeting. I had no idea who he was. I had no idea, what effect he would have on me, and just taking everything away. Like, that's something that I'll never forget. Just the way that his professionalism, his playing, and it was just incredible. So yeah, 3 different things, but yeah, it's just amazing.
It's I think it speaks volumes about yourself, Jack, to point to these 3 different kind of time, location, and obviously relationship kind of highlights, whether it was obviously playing at that venue, or, just the fact that you were in the States and kind of pinch me, I'm on kind of, US soil as such, and having a chance to kind of go around and meet people and be in the presence of different musicians, and obviously just experience things that you wouldn't have otherwise felt like you would have had an opportunity to tackle. And then obviously to meet musicians who have just elevated your outlook, playing, you know, and what could now happen. It's kind of like the next mile marker moves forward and you're kind of plotting that next chapter, which is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. It's just an incredible experience.
That's amazing stuff. I really appreciate your time, and I know we've gone at it, but I really wanted to dive into a few final things, and that was really, you know,
Yeah.
we will get kind of penalized in the chat because I know the comments will come through thick and fast if we don't talk about this, but I know you mentioned at the start a couple of kits that you started with, and we have to talk shop again. Please, kind of, if you know, because I know you've got a wonderful relationship with some amazing drum manufacturers. I know you've got all the bells and whistles, and I know you've probably kind of been one of the main things is getting the kit set up. You know the work you've put in because you've probably carried them into 90% of these different venues, right? With the
Well, that's the thing.
Roadies.
As drummer, you can't get away with without heavy lifting. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I couldn't ask anyone else to do that.
That's it. So yeah, would you break us down? I mean, just some of the kits you've had over the years and kind of current setup. That would be amazing. I see something behind you as well. Maybe you could speak to.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. So basically, I started, like I said, I started off. I would not be able to tell you what electric drum kit I started with. It's one of those that my parents just got just to keep me. I wouldn't even know where. I wouldn't have even if they said what kit do you want. I'm like, just get me something I can hit, you know. But yeah, so that's I started off the electric, and then I, funny enough, because I was really into like progressive metal and stuff like that. My favorite and still is my favorite band is Dream Theater, and Mike Portnoy is my all-time favorite drummer, and just to see him with these little octoband things was incredible. So the first actual drum kit, a drum part that I bought, were 4 octobands, and it was funny just going boop, 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 on the electric kit. So from the actual octobands, the electric kit, and it was so much fun playing them. So that's what I started with. I think they were Millennium again. I believe I started off with you know, you have to when you start and you don't know, because your parents as well are going to put some money towards this probably, or someone's going to help you. But even if I wasn't, I'd think, right, okay, I need to get something cheap because I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this as much as I think I am. But I still got excited. I can't remember exactly what one, but the make was Millennium. I believe, like I said, I believe that's exclusively to the Thomann website, I believe. And actually the electric kit behind me is also Millennium as well. Again, because, you know, money. But so my first kit cost £300. It was two racks, 2 floor, and I think like a bunch of stands and a snare and, you know, your basic stuff like that. And this one, I think about £300. This one was like 500. And I just it's so and I only got it because I really wanted to practice at home, because I can't, you know, there's nowhere you can practice loud. So I'll just tap, like, you know, to be honest, most of the time, and I shouldn't really say this, but I just don't even have the sounds on because it's set up so well that I can just hear myself tap in and just go right. You don't always need the sound, which is why a practice pad is so good. So yeah, I did that. The kit that I'm using now, because I went from that to the kit that I've got now, the Millennium one. Again, money is now I'm not very good with makes and models and stuff like that, but it's a Natal kit. So I've there's a company just down the road called the Sound Attack Drum Company, who I got in contact with because I was told the place that we practice, Unit 1 in Colchester, the guy there, Wayne, mentioned before, like, oh, you should definitely, because we were about to record our second album with Frank, so I need a proper kit, you know, not just a baby kit. So yeah, he said, why don't you go to this place and, you know, mention me and mention everything that's happening to you, and you get like money off and stuff. And we did. So I think the kit was like a £1,200 kit, and I think I paid like 800, something like that, which is still a lot, but it's one of those investments that you have to have when you reach a certain point, unfortunately. It's without, I don't, you know, again, details. But it's the toms are like the thinner toms, so they're not as long. So because I like having them a bit lower. Yep. Which that definitely helps, and they sound so good. I know they've got Evans heads on them. Again, that's all I can tell you.
No, we can post some photos. We can make sure to include some photos in the links below to your channels, Jack, because I definitely want to signpost the artists anyways to your content, but I think it's going to be great for them, because I think seeing is truly kind of understanding as well. And you know, again, I know we can't drag, it's not, you know, again, like QVC style dragging all the kits into the podcast today, but no, I think it's
Yeah.
a great breakdown, and I think it gives the artists, you know, at home wanting to watch a little bit more and kind of coming back for something more as well. So we'll make sure we include those links. But I just think it's been fabulous to have you on, you know, just to kind of share, you know, some of the amazing opportunities that you've tapped into, you know, and obviously that have came your way just through your journey. But also you've got a really exciting tour coming up that I know you wanted to briefly talk about. So where are we playing, where are we heading, kind of what do the artists and the fans that's at home watching have to look forward to as well coming up?
Well, we're finally going on our first official headline tour. And that actually starts, there's 4 dates in Germany. We're doing like the 4 big ones. It's like Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, Cologne, which we've been to with Frank. We went with a band as well called Skinny Lister there. And the German audiences are just amazing. So we were like, well, we want to go back to Germany if we can and headline. So that's going, yeah, we're really looking forward to that. That starts at the end of November. But the UK headline tour is, I mean, we had a 2-day gap after our London show. So we go from like Birmingham, Cardiff, Bristol, and then we have one in London. These venues can go anywhere between like, I think 100 capacity to 230, I think is the biggest. I think that's Bristol, I think. But we had like a 2-day gap. We're like, okay, that's like 4 on, 2 days off, and then we'll just do the last 5. But it sold out so quickly. A couple of them did, but we didn't have any gaps. So we're like, oh no. We're like, where can let's definitely add another show. So it had to be there. So we've added another. So it's at a place called The Grace in London. I think it's North London. I've not been. But apparently it's a really good venue. And we go through, we've got Southampton, Leeds, Manchester, Nottingham. In fact, I would say the Nottingham venue is called the Bodega. That's almost sold out, and it's one of our favorite venues. We did like a 3-date tour in April. It was like Bristol, Manchester, and Nottingham. And Nottingham, like, it was the first time we realized we're not playing to our friends. Who are these people like singing our songs back to us? We've never met them. That was a great feeling. And then we finished finally in Colchester, which is our hometown, to do and that's a sold out venue as well. We're playing in a 400 capacity venue. Brilliant. And it's just amazing. Like, we can't wait. That's it for the rest of the year. As far as we think, we're booking loads of stuff in support tours, headline stuff all around in 23. And it's just so exciting. It really is.
Yeah, I'm so pleased for yourself and the team as well, the whole band, because you guys put the work in, and I think after this tour, a bit of well-earned rest is certainly needed. Catch up on some sleep, but I know you know you're going to be right around the corner for more opportunities. I know they're going to come thick and fast as well into the new year. You know, Jack, one thing we like to do here, it's obviously the Drum Club, is, you know, ask this final question, and it really comes up around a bit of a tradition we have. And obviously, you know, as a Collision artist, you know, and again, I want to highlight that, you know, we are proudly in partnership with Jack as an endorsed artist of ours. But, you know, you'll know this, Jack, already, that our kind of slogan is Impact Your Sound. And my final question to you is really, you know, how or what does Impact Your Sound mean to you, and specifically your drumming as a musician as well?
Wow. Impact your sound. I mean, impact is such a big thing. Like, specifically, obviously on the kit, but elsewhere as well. Like, it's make your mark, like have the impact that you need. That's the reason why I feel like we were picked up. You know, we stood out. We worked really hard for it. Bit of luck, things fell into place. But yeah, make that impact. And I feel like as soon as you say the word impact, I picture in my head, it's basics, hitting that tom, hitting that snare, make that, you know, just a big hit going through the kit. And I know this is like cliche in a way, because obviously what we're doing, but I've never been happier making the impact on those drums without, you know, with the Collision 5Bs. It's just, I've tried 5As. I went for a bunch of different ones with you guys, and the 5Bs are just the ones for me. I mean, talk about impact. You know, you get the control, but you can hit so hard. And yeah, just picturing it, just going from the top down to the bottom on the toms, that's what I feel like when you say the word impact. It's like bam, bam. You know,
projection, right? Just everything.
It's just, yeah. It's the reason I'm a drummer. You know, just let it out, let everything out, make that impact.
That is huge. And, you know, I think it's just a great way to kind of wrap up our conversation and this episode, Jack. And, you know, we want to make sure that we signpost every single drummer again. Be sure to go follow Jack and the band on social media at We Are Pet Needs. Jack, is there a website that the artists can go to? Any other social medias in particular? Of course, the tour coming up. Where can the artists find out a little more about yourself and the team?
Yeah, so everything's posted on petneedsband.com. So that's you get all your the tour dates and stuff like that on it, all the news. But we post a lot on Instagram as well. So that's, again, We Are Pet Needs. And we started doing TikTok. We're not sure about the impact on it. We'll find out. We'll keep going for it. But yeah, and also our YouTube channel. We're trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber. I think we've hit just 800 now. And I do all the videos myself, and I just love making content. So that's something else as well. And then also, like I said before, cheekily, there's another band that I'm in called The Round Window. So check that out.
Please do. And make sure you go support Jack on all the channels. Again, it's so important that we support these great drummers and great bands, because if we don't, they won't be here. We've got to make sure that these guys grow and grow and grow, because I know the music
thank you very much.
That's what it's about. No, 110%, man.
You.
Our pleasure. Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, let it be known, make yourselves known and heard and seen. We appreciate nothing more than reading the comments below. I take time out my week and busy schedule to do that myself. I make sure that we respond to each and every single one as well. So pop your thoughts in the box below. Don't forget to subscribe yourselves as well to keep up to date with all that all important Drum Club content. And we will, of course, see you next time. Thanks for joining us this episode.